it's not about dieting. It's just about changing your lifestyle.
Mm,
All of the things that I've just talked about are things that have nothing to do with being on a diet. But when you're on a weight loss journey and you live this life like this, the weight starts to come off
hmm
because you're anchoring every plate with protein. You're eating more whole foods. And then all of a sudden you're like, "Oh, I'm I feel better. My energy's different. I'm not as irritable. My kids are eating."
Welcome back to the Sensible Mama podcast. I am Felina Westcott, your host. Very happy to be with you today. Before we continue with this episode, please don't forget to subscribe and share this show with a friend that you think may enjoy it. My guest today is Mailoha Kitchens. She is a nutrition and accountability coach. She's also a mom, and there's a lot of conversation to be had on the subject of nutrition, fitness, and especially how to make it all work as a mom. Life is crazy, life is chaotic, it's busy, and fitness and health is just another thing on our plate. And so I'm really excited to have this conversation with you today. Mailoha, say hello, tell the people who you are, and we'll dive right in.
Thank you so much, Paulina. I am so excited. And so I am Mailoha Kitchens and I work with the busy moms. I am a single mom and a widow myself, and I am very much into the fitness and the wellness and all of it. And how do I do it? By putting all the things into place that I do for my clients. So whether that is creating new habits, habit stacking, getting my protein in, and anchoring every single meal with high protein. I have been able to do that for myself and have been able to provide that for my clients. And so I'm so happy to be here and to talk about it more.
Very cool. I feel like this is going to be a very practical episode. I feel like
1000.
sometimes they're very like philosophical, philosophy about parenting or whatever. This one's going to be a very practical, like, what can I do in my life? What can I actually like implement right now? That's
Absolutely.
bite size, no pun intended. Little steps that you can take. So we actually almost started the episode before I even hit record. You started going off on this rant about protein. And so I figured let's just jump off there. There's like all these fads, there's keto, there's whatever. Nowadays, carnivore is like a big thing. So you hear a lot about protein. Is it a fad? Is it a must? Is it optional? Let's talk about it.
I will bust the myth. It's not a fad. Hop on it. Protein, and why? Let's just start there.
Mm,
The reason why protein is so important is because you have got to have it to build muscle. Strength training alone will not do it. So that's number one. And muscle isn't just, yes, are you going to look amazing by building your lean muscle mass? Yes. But also, it is an organ. It is, you have got to keep it healthy. And I'm 39 years old. So as I hop into 40, I want to not only build new muscle, but I want to keep the muscle that I have, and I want to make sure that I am maintaining the muscle that I have. So I don't want quick weight loss where I'm losing fat and muscle. I don't want to not eat protein and not continue to feed the muscle that I have. But I also want to make sure that as I'm prioritizing protein, that I understand that the reason why it's the number one thing that's going on my plate is because I'm a volume eater. And so filling my plate with a bunch of rice or starchy vegetables isn't going to cut it, right? So
mm,
I build my plates on that protein and anchor it there so that I can start to get that satiate. I'll turn off those hunger hormones and really, really fill myself up with that muscle building protein. And then I add in this priority, as you said, takeaways. So build your plate, the protein first, fill up with some fiber, get some healthy fats on your plate, and then choose your non-starchy vegetables, which are your broccoli, your cauliflower, your green beans, and then throw in whatever carbs you like, whether that's your white rice, I mean, there's just so many different things, whether it's your pastas or your breads. And, people will ask me about portion sizes and things based on
mm.
what their goals are. So if you're on a weight loss journey, I would recommend making and starting to build the habits that are for lifestyle so that you're not yo-yo dieting. But also to make sure that when you're looking at your plate, you're saying, is this achieving the goals that I want to achieve on my weight loss journey? Because if I have 2 cups of rice and 1 ounce of protein, that's not going to do it, right?
Yeah.
And so also, as a single mom and a widow, building my plates as an example to my daughter on what building those healthy habits look like on her plate.
It makes a lot of sense, and it's interesting because the sequence seems to matter based on what you're saying. So you don't like, you go to a restaurant, typically you start with the bread, comes on the table first, right?
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
you might get a salad.
Right.
And then after that, you have your main course, which probably has some sort of protein, chicken or steak or fish or something like that, which
Yep.
seems completely backwards.
It hurts to hear it.
But it's true, right? Like, that's how it usually goes.
It's so true. And I always tell people when they say, right, but when I go to the Mexican restaurant, I want to enjoy myself and have the chips and the salsa. And I say, I want you to enjoy your meals. But you have to think about when that bowl of those chips comes to the table. Those chips are how many tortillas and how, right? Like it's the endless, and there is zero nutritional value, no protein and no fiber in that bowl. So why not wait to have some of that with your already protein anchored plate of food that you order? And why not, if you're going to have some of the, so in your example where you said the bread comes and then the salad comes and people are like, yeah, but my salad, and I'll look at their salads and it's like some greens and then lots of cheese and lots of croutons and lots of dressing. Don't do that. It's not going to fill you up. It isn't helping you at all. Get the salad. If you really enjoy the croutons and you really enjoy the cheese, sure, go for some of that. But ask for chicken on that salad. Ask for some sort of protein or healthy fat on that salad to make it satiating. Ask for half the amount of cheese and half the amount of croutons and the dressing on the side so that you have some control over all of your meals. And so that when your actual meal comes with that extra protein and you're ready for it, you're not still, you haven't now had a bowl of the bread, a bowl of a salad that wasn't satiating, and then now your pasta, you're without having had any of your protein yet.
Right. You keep saying the word protein anchored. Tell me what you mean by that.
What I mean by that is that when I look at my plate, I want my protein to be anchoring the meal. I want the protein to be the star of the show. I want it to be the thing that I go for first, and the thing that, and make it something that you like, right? So sometimes people will say, but I don't like chicken, or I don't like beef, or I don't like, what do you like and how can we make it work? Anchor your meal on that protein, whether it's a lean ground beef or, if you open my fridge right now, I have just all these different proteins prepped. And so they're ready to go so that no matter what, I have those ready to go and I can always rely on them to be the anchor of my plate, the focus.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it sounds like you have, I know you have completely turned it into a lifestyle. It's not just, it doesn't seem to be like something that you're like, okay, how do I make my next meal the way that it should be? And it's not like you're like doing formulas in your head as you're preparing your lunch, right? Like, right. But I imagine it wasn't always like that. I imagine it took some work to get there.
I grew up on the eating the standard American diet. Mm-hmm. And when I became an athlete in high school, I was around people that started to, and this is why it's so important that we surround ourselves with people that have similar interests in what we have, because the influence of that, good or bad, right? Mm-hmm. So I was around all these people that they weren't drinking sodas when I was. They were on the sidelines drinking water. They were eating different things than I was eating. And so I started to get really curious. When I became a college athlete, I started to get yelled at for drinking. And so I started to get really curious, and I had other people really influencing me on the different things that they were like, so you do know that you're going to feel better after our run if you eat this for lunch and not that. And then I just went for it I was the girl that was doing the coconut oil pulling in my room after class. And it just became my life. It became everything about me was, I just wanted to feel, and I started to feel better, right? After my runs, before my runs, I started to see my body changing in different ways, because it's hard when you're thin and you think, well, I can eat anything, right? But it's what people would call the skinny fat, right? Like you're not building muscle, and because you're not eating the right things. And so I was thin, but I wasn't healthy. And I started to, and I was afraid of the protein powders in my drinks, and thinking that I was going to bulk up, and thinking that if I started strength training instead of running and doing all the cardio, that it was I was just going to be this big buff. It doesn't happen like that. You really have to lift so heavy to bulk up. I mean,
Right.
I am in better shape today at 39 than I was at 29 or
Wow.
19. So, and why? Because I wake
And
up
after having a kid.
1000%. I have a 3-year-old.
Right.
And I just started to change all of that. And today, what my life looks like looks very different in the healthiest, most positive way. And I'm so grateful that I can model this behavior for my daughter, right? So we don't eat different things. We eat what both of our plates look the same. Obviously, the portions look different. But for breakfast this morning, we had our egg bites, and we have these Hero Bread bagels that I love, and so we had our bagel bites that had, or excuse me, our egg bites that had our protein and some fiber in there. I love mixing cottage cheese in there for the extra protein, and we had our bagel with our cream cheese, and then we've got some fruit. Both of our plates look the same, and what happens is our children look over to see what we're doing, right? And so they want to know what we're eating. So when we feed them different things than what we're eating, we aren't allowing them to try the things that they might actually eat
Yeah.
if we just offered it to them.
Yeah.
And does she always want the things that are on her plate? No. But I always provide one safe food, so I know that no matter what, she's eating. And I think we're scared that if our kids skip one meal, that they're not going to be okay. And I promise you that they will be. They are growing bodies that sometimes, and just little brains that sometimes don't want what's on their plate. But that's okay. Don't give into, oh, well, do you just want a snack then? Do you just want a treat? And uh, do we go to the birthday parties like everybody else? And is there cake and ice cream and all these things? And is my daughter curious sometimes about those things? Yes. So what I do is I let her, whatever is being offered, I let her have it on her plate. And she's almost 4. And it's so funny. She'll ask for it, and she'll let them put it on her plate. And she hasn't yet tried it, whether it's a cookie, cake, ice cream. And it's because she's looking over at me and I'm not eating it, right? Because it's just not, I'm not a sweets person. I don't have and we don't have those things in our home, right? So I think she just gets curious because she sees the other kids having it.
Sure.
But when it lands on her plate, she kind of looks over at me and she doesn't see me eating it. And so she just doesn't. And so I just want everybody to know that we can model the behavior in our children that we really want to see in them, but we have to want it for ourselves more than we can want it for our children, right?
So you bring up an interesting thing, and I wanted to mention this while you were talking about your history as an athlete and so forth. I feel like, and I might be wrong, this may not be across the board, it might not be true for everybody, but I feel like probably most of the time, if you're trying to change a lifestyle, or if you're trying to, particularly if you've been doing something one way and now you're trying to do it a different way, it's easy to go into a fad, mode where I'm going to do this for a month. I'm going to, okay, I'll use myself an example. I'm going to drink 80 ounces of water every day and I'm going to make it a game. And my friend and I would text each other, and it was great. For like 2 months, I was very hydrated. And then something happened, and we stopped the game, and I'm prone to very intense dehydration. It's just, I don't know, my body type or something. And I just stopped. So, like, great, it was consistent, but only for so long. And I think, this is my personal philosophy, is my why was out.
Right.
Why was I doing it? Because it was a thing to do, which is not enough to pull something through into a long-term sustainable habit, right? Like, you were talking about your story, and you were an athlete, and you're looking around at these people, and you're like, oh, they're doing something different. Maybe they're more successful than I am. Maybe they're running faster. Maybe they're doing better. They're winning, and they seem to be doing something different than me, and I want that. It wasn't that you wanted to eat the way they were eating. You wanted the results that they got, right? Mm-hmm. And that's going to look different. For me, I have no interest in athletics. I am not planning on doing any sort of marathons or anything. Like, that's just not my personal why. But for me, the reason that my health is important to me is that I have 2 young boys, 2 and 4 years old. They are, energetic is not the right word. They are little tornadoes in the best possible way. Yep. And I need to keep up with them. And I want to keep keeping up with them for a long time, to the degree that when they get married and have their own kids, I want to be in good enough shape that I can run around with their kids and be an active part of their life. You know what I mean? Like, I look at some people of grandparent age, and they're just not able to, not that they're bad people, they're just physically unable to keep up with their grandkids. And I look at others, like my dad does like crazy, he works out like crazy, and he's over there, he's throwing my kids up in the air, sometimes too high in my cautious mom mind, but I love that. And they're like, he's teaching them how to stand on their hands and do flips, and they'll be at his house, and they'll watch him doing his exercises, and they're like, well, we're gonna go exercise with Grandpa. And I'm like, I love this. I want to be like that when I grow up. You know what I mean? So that's my why. And why, and I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not, my fridge probably looks slightly different from yours, but I do make an effort to, like you said, model that behavior for my kids, get into habits that are sustainable, that, I don't eat muffins for breakfast. You know what I mean? Like, we have good protein at every meal. It's very important to me. I try to make veggies interesting for myself too, because sometimes veggies are just freaking boring. I'm not huge on salads. My best friend is always laughing at me that I don't ever eat salads. It's not true. I do. I just think they're kind of boring. And so I'm like, how do I make it more interesting? Okay, maybe I need a couple craisins in there to make me motivated to eat the salad. So that's what I do. Or, like store-bought dressings or whatever, but like a good balsamic vinaigrette with some good oil on top of a salad with salt and pepper, for some reason, that does it for me. So, but all of these things, the reason that I keep up with them and the reason that I want to be healthier is deeper than just, I want to be healthier. Like, there's a motivation, there's a why behind that. And so I imagine you run into that with your clients, when they're like, hey, I need to lose some baby weight, or, I need to get back into my fitness routine or whatever. I imagine that one of the things that you'd have to work with them on is like, why are we doing this? Because you want it to be sustained. You want it to last longer than just however long they paid you to coach them. You know what I mean?
Totally. And what's so important for us to remember, especially as busy moms, is that yes, do our children, are they a priority to us? Absolutely. But we cannot show up for our kids if we do not first put our own mask on first, right?
Yes.
So when we are not building the habits that we know that we need to be healthy for our kids, we're doing them a disservice.
Absolutely.
We are irritable. We are tired. We are hungry and hangry, and we're not setting the example for them of, so we're getting upset with them because they don't want to eat their vegetables, but we're not, right? We haven't even sat at the table with them to have a meal in a week. And so they're sitting there by themselves at the table thinking, I know, right? Like, so, and what's so interesting is that our children, we have this when they're so young, we can influence them and use that to. So sometimes we feel this pressure in that they, oh my gosh, they want the behavior that what I do, they want, use that to your advantage. So they want to do what you're doing, great, eat lots of protein, they're going to want some. My daughter at school the other day, they asked her what her favorite vegetable was, and she said pepperoni, and I could not have been prouder that she said protein. But why is that? Because she sees that when I have my, what I call like a bridge snack, right? Sometimes if I don't get enough protein at lunch, I can't get to dinner without, I don't want to get to dinner hangry. And so I want a snack in between that, like noon, and we're early dinner girls. And so like that 7 o'clock dinner time, I call it a bridge snack. It's going to get me from lunch to dinner without showing up to dinner starving. And so I will go into our fridge and I'll grab our bowl of pre-made ground beef and I'll put it in a bowl and I'll eat it. I'll grab we always have pepperonis in our fridge. And so, and I keep them in this like glass container, and I'll just open it up and I'll grab some and I'll offer her some. Right? So she said at school that her favorite vegetable was pepperonis because that's what she sees and what she knows, right? Like my daughter in our pantry right now, she can open up the pantry, and at her eye level, I have strategically put the snacks that she can always have, that aren't the sweet things that are gonna spike her blood sugar, they are seaweed snacks and Chomps bars and fruit jerkies that are made of one ingredient, pineapple or mango. So when we do those things, our children are really set up for success. And I don't have a food battle with her. And when she asks me for a snack, I don't feel like, oh gosh, another snack. And I honestly feel like, go for it. You want seaweed chips? Sure. You want chomp sticks? Sure. But, it's actually interesting that I've set that up, but she really doesn't ask for snacks. Why? Because she's getting so much protein at breakfast that she's not getting hungry between breakfast and lunch. She's getting so much protein at lunch that she's not getting. And she also doesn't really see me grazing all the time. And so she's not thinking about it. If she was seeing me go for all these different things, I mean, how can I deny her something when I'm doing it, right? And, I mostly drink water, or I'm drinking my coffee, which she just knows that she's not. She's a big girl, but not big enough for that yet. And so she's understanding of that. She hasn't asked me for coffee yet. But even if she had my coffee, she'd get some protein in. So, so those are the kinds of things. And, where you are talking about being consistent with these things, I read a book, gosh, it's probably been like a decade now. And it's by James Clear, and it's called Atomic Habits.
Yes.
I mean, I have probably lived my entire life by what I learned in that book since I read it.
Highly, highly recommend it to anybody. In fact, I kind of want to listen to, I do audiobooks these days because I just,
Same.
With the 2 kids, I don't have time to sit down and read because I feel like I should be doing literally anything else. But while I'm, waiting for them to fall asleep and I'm just snuggling them to sleep, which is our bedtime routine, I throw in my headphones and listen to whatever. That's one that I should probably, because again, like you said, like it's probably been 10 years since I've listened to it, but I want to listen to it again because there is so much valuable information there. And it's called Atomic Habits because of the way you structure. I mean, it's not a story, so I can't say spoiler alert, but the idea is you make it digestible. Like
1,000%.
One tiny little piece that you implement, and then on top of that, you can start another one, and then you can do another one. And he gives it in such a way that is so doable and so easy to
It's
take
digestible.
on.
It is. Anybody can do what he's saying in that book. And he starts with removing the friction, which is how I work with my clients, right? My clients will come to me and say, I really want this. And I ask the question where you were talking about, well, what's your why? how bad do you want to feel good? And how bad do you want it, in the sense that whether you go to that Super Bowl party on Sunday, whether no matter where you are, does someone's judgment or the way that they live their life, are you going to let that come in between you and your goals or the things that you are wanting to change in your life? And a perfect example of that is, what do I do when I go to a Super Bowl party where I know that everybody's just going to be eating things? I know how they eat. And what they put on their plate isn't what the problem is. The problem is that I want to make sure I have protein on my plate. So what do? I show up with the protein. It really is that easy, right? And so when James Clear talks about removing the friction, that's what he's talking about. Don't show up to the party. So number one, don't show up starving. If you don't know what's on the menu, don't show up starving. Have something at home before you even go there. And then you're not worried about being so hungry that you look around and you just want everything, right? So don't show up starving. Show up with protein that you know you will love, that you want to eat. I'm the girl that will always show up with either the protein, or if I know they're going to have the burgers, and then I'm showing up with fruit. I'm showing up with a salad. I'm showing up with something that I know I will want to eat with whatever I know is being served. Or if I don't know what's being served, I'm showing up with the protein. Because I know, and you'll be surprised. You show up with something that you think only you and your kids are going to want. And everybody, you go back and you're like, oh wait. Everybody loved what I brought, right? And people will ask.
It's interesting because there's like these like stigmas, or now I'm supposed to whatever. And so everybody's like, oh, you're supposed to bring, chips and dips and, I don't know what else, pigs in a blanket and whatever, right? Like the garbage food that I love. I love garbage food.
Sure.
But then you're right. Like my friend always brings the charcuterie board and she puts prosciutto and like healthy cheeses and whatever, like this, like, and also like healthier snackers, crackers, like, like the almond, whatever, the nut thins or whatever. And I'm like, those are great. I love those, or people are like, what can you bring to the party? If I know there's kids there, I always bring mandarin oranges.
Same.
Because children will, and myself too, will always eat them. And even if they have nothing else and there's only chips and garbage available, at least they're going to have some good vitamin C and it's going to be in a healthy form, like.
That's right. And where he talks about removing the friction, that's what you're doing. You're removing all of that, and you start to even get stressed and anxious, and then you eat the things that you don't, or you eating them because everybody else is eating them, or because you're hungry, and then you don't feel good, and then you go to bed and you wake up and now you have guilt and shame and you want to start over on Monday, and truly it's not about dieting. It's just about changing your lifestyle. All of the things that I've just talked about are things that have nothing to do with being on a diet. But when you're on a weight loss journey and you live this life like this, the weight starts to come off because you're anchoring every plate with protein. You're eating more whole foods. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I feel better. My energy is different. I'm not as irritable. My kids are eating. I can't tell you how many times we've gone to play dates and I always bring extras. I mean, I have chomps. I sometimes pull them out of my pocket. Like
those are like the jerky things, right? Like the meat jerky, right?
I have them in my car, in my purse, in the pantry. I have in my pockets, everywhere. And everywhere we go, I bring extras. And I cannot tell you the number of times that I have shown up with these. And I always bring extras for other kids just so that they have, just in case if they don't have anything that we don't like to eat in front of people without and having them enjoy with us. And
Makes sense.
We share, and the moms will say, oh, that's okay, don't waste it, they won't. I'm like, are you sure? Because they can try. I will not be offended if they try it, and they're asking me for more. And then I'll see the mom, at school pickup or whatever, and they're like, so I went to Costco and bought the huge, we love chomps.
That's the thing. I mean, honestly, that's like, and again, everything that we're saying seems to apply to the adults and to the kids. Like, don't knock it till you try it, right? We all assume, oh, my kids are only going to want to eat a pouch, or they're only going to want to eat the fruit, or all he eats is chicken nuggets and whatever. And I'm like, okay, so I sit down and I eat what I want to eat. My kids, so we've done ribs for the last few days. My little one, he's 2 years old. The way he goes off, like, he, like, is like, it's hilarious to watch. And he's like, more, right? Chicken wings, this kid in chicken wings. I don't know what it is about bones, but like, okay, ribs are like a normal food, right? So
Sure.
I'm Russian, and in Russia we have something called shproty, which is kind of sort of like a sardine, but it's not like the American sardines. They're better, much better. And I love them. And so you eat them on like a cracker or on some toast or with potatoes or some usually like that. And so we get these like whole grain, bread with some seeds in it. We slice that up. I'm eating this. I love it. I mean, genuinely, I'm like, this is my jam. And my little one comes up to me. He's like, can I try it? I'm like, sure. So he tries a bite. And all of a sudden I'm having to share. Like, I thought I was going to get this whole can to myself. And between the two of them, they've devoured 3/4 of the can. And I'm like,
Yep.
did I expect that? No. But then they're like laughing about eating fish and the tails and whatever. And I'm like, I'm not saying that every kid is going to love sardines, okay?
Sure.
But don't assume they're not going to love it without offering it and trying it,
That's right. And that reminding ourselves that if they don't eat it, that's also okay.
Mm-hmm.
That there's science behind, I can't remember if it was Solid Starts that did a video on this, and the number of times that we should offer foods to our kids before we say, oh, they don't really like that. Just because they say no once, try it again. Mm-hmm. Maybe don't even offer it, but do what you did. Eat it in front of them. And just model the behavior that you want to see in them. Be open to the potential that on the third try, they might actually want some. And that if on the fourth time they still don't, that's okay too. And
exactly.
that maybe it's not chomps. Maybe it's tuna. Maybe there's just so many different ways that you can get protein into your kids. Some kids love protein shakes, and so put it into their smoothies. I mean, I just think that we can do a better job of modeling the behavior that we want to see and reminding ourselves of the influence that we have on our kids in the best way. And, when we talk about James Clear again, just really quick to hit on after we remove the friction, what we should do in order to actually build those habits is where you were talking about the building. Mm-hmm. He calls it habit stacking.
Yes. And
so what happens is you have these habits that you want to build, and you how do I explain it? Where you have them so that they are happening in not in sync, but just
in sequence.
Okay. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
So if you want for your child to take their vitamins every morning with that protein anchored meal, what do? You put their vitamins right next to their breakfast, and when they're having their breakfast, it's right there. Instead of leaving the vitamins in the cabinet and then thinking later, right? We don't have time for that. We're busy moms. We can't leave that there, think that they're going to have breakfast. Their water's over here, their backpack's over here. We have to put it. So he really talks about making sure, it's just like me and my routine. People will ask me, okay, I'm not going to wake up at 3:30 like you. I know that you wake up, but there's also so much that I want to do. And so what do? My tongue scraper is next to my toothbrush, which is next to my workout clothes. My gym is all set up. I have my Peloton behind me, and it's in my office. And so what do I there's just so many things that we can do to make all these things easier for ourselves. Mm-hmm. That will in turn save us some time and give us that time back that we need for whatever these other things are that come up for us, I don't know, on a daily basis as busy moms.
It's so funny. Like, sometimes we just don't have time to think. I can tell you, like, in the mornings so some mornings are very laid back. We don't have to be anywhere. They can stay in their pajamas for as long as they want. I have time to, get them into whatever. But other times, we got places to be, right? Like, we need to be out of the house by 9:30 and so I'm sure no mom listening to this can relate with, how many times did I tell you to get out of your pajamas? Where's your shirt? Why is there only one sock on your foot? Where did your shoes go? Did you eat your breakfast? Why aren't your teeth brushed? Right? Like, it can be straight up chaos, right? And so every morning doesn't look the same for me. You know, for some moms, that consistency is very easy and it works. But for me, like, if I want the following morning to not give me heart palpitations, then I need to prepare the night before, because I know in the morning I'm not going to want to think about things. I'm not in the mood to fight with my kids, and we're going to be late on top of the inner lack of peace that I'm feeling. So I pick out their clothes for them at night, and I talk to them about it at night, where I say, hey, this is what we're going to wear tomorrow. We're going to have to wake up and we're going to do this. Look, we're going to have this in the morning for breakfast, okay? And so, like, I've already won half of the battle because I've already got them on board the night before. And it saves me so, and I don't do this every single time, and I still have mornings where I'm like, wow, what's happening? You know? But I know, and I'm getting better at it, and it's getting more consistent, where I know, and they know, that, hey, if we're going on a fun adventure in the morning, like this morning, we went to the Peabody Museum down by Yale. And I was like, all right, we got to get out of the house by a certain time. So we have certain things in place beforehand if we want that to be less crazy. Mm-hmm. And so the more you can do that, the more you can prepare, habit stack, you know, like have the kids know their bedtime routine. They know that first we floss, then we brush, then, you know, we do pajamas, then everybody sits on the potty, and like, it's not a surprise to them. It's not, there's still every now and then we still have to fight about, you know, no, you still need to brush your teeth. We do this every night. Yes, you still have to brush your, no, tonight's not an exception. You're going to brush your teeth, you know. Those conversations still happen. I'm not going to pretend that it's like some, like, you know, what's that Stepford Wives scene where all of the mothers are, you know, perfect and all the children are perfect and nobody has a fuss. No, that's not realistic either. You know what I mean? Like, my expectations are such that I know these things happen, but can I take the friction out of it? Can I make it a little bit less agonizing for them and for me and for everybody around, you know? How do we make it so that things just flow a little bit more smoothly? And now bedtime routine is far less chaotic than it was when we first started putting in these habits. And it does, the more consistent I can make it, the more predictable, because kids need to have the ability to predict what's going to happen. It can't be, well, some mornings we have breakfast and other mornings we don't. And some mornings she lets me get away with not having protein and other mornings she doesn't. And some mornings I can wear shoes in the house and some days I can't. Like, no, your rules have to be consistent because your kids rely on that to understand how the world works around them. Like, that's what they're doing. That's what they're trying to figure out, is how does this world work? How does this absolutely crazy world out there, how does it work and where do I fit into it? And so the more stability and consistency we can provide to our kids with things like nighttime routines, morning routines, rules, setting an example, you know, modeling the behaviors, like you were saying, like, why is it that she gets to have chocolate for breakfast and I have to eat my eggs? You know what I mean? Like, that's not fair.
Right. And in everything that you just said, I heard so much of how the benefits of being consistent in the routines that we build, right? Mm-hmm. All these habits, when we're consistent, I heard we provide safety to our kids. They know what's coming. I heard the authority that we have over our children and how that provides them with this stability where they know that they're secure and they're safe, because these rules that we put into place for them really help them feel, okay, somebody's got me. Because I like what you just said, I'm still learning the world, but there's somebody, mommy knows what's happening, and mommy knows what's happening next. Sometimes we don't. But we work in ways that we can provide a little bit of confidence for them to feel safe in that we will figure it out, even when we don't know, right? And so when we build these habits, I can tell you that as a single mom and a widow, being able to walk into the garage with Eleanor and she, without me having to say anything, right? Because it's just me. So for me to have to say, Eleanor, walk into the garage, take off your shoes, walk inside, go wash your hands, sit down for dinner, I might, after a full work day, right? And having my clients and having, I really don't know that I would have that to be able to. And so what happens? Because we are so consistent with those routines, and the habit stacking where everything flows, she walks through, takes off her shoes, opens the door, walks in, goes. By the time I've gotten everything, and I'm the mom that does all the grocery, I can do the 20 grocery bags and my bag and her bag. And
Yep.
by the time I've hustled in, she's washed her hands, she's sitting down, and she's waiting for her protein.
Aww.
And so, can we do that for them and really for us?
Yeah.
Thank you. I didn't have to tell her. I didn't have to. And the independence that we provide for our kids, we do them a disservice when we do not do that for them.
So as you're describing this, I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is what we expect as adults, right?
Yeah.
So if you have a job that you work for somebody else, for example, which I have had many jobs in my past, the rules are laid out. You're expected to show up on time. Lunchtime is here. Lunchtime is at this time. This is the etiquette for answering the phone. This is what's expected at the end of the week. These are the reports needed from you. They're needed by this time. And we expect a certain rigidity in the expectations. And we want those expectations to be made known so that we can perform the way we need to perform at our job, right? And when those expectations are not described, not maintained, when they're flexible, when they're unexpected, when one person can follow the rules and the other one can't, all of these things make a job completely awful for us. And we go home and we, cry and moan to our husbands about it or whatever, and we want to leave and we start job searching elsewhere. We don't want to be in an environment like that because it is chaotic, it's unpredictable, and it's not pleasant, right? Like, we've all been there at one point or another. And so, not that kids are our employees, but there is a parallel there of sorts where if we don't want to be in an environment like that, if that makes us feel unstable and unhappy and all these other misemotions, why would we do that to these little adults, these little people who are still trying to figure out how the world works? So, like, imagine the best workplace you've ever heard of or seen or experienced where it was fun. It's allowed to be fun. You're allowed to. In fact, you must have fun as a parent. Your kids have to have fun. If the house is a military, like serious, whatever, that's not good for them either. It should be fun, but it should be consistent and it should be stable and it should be predictable. And if I do this, I'm going to get in trouble, which means that every time you do that, you do get in trouble. Whatever that looks like, whatever that means, No, you can't have your whatever until you this. Every time. And if there's an exception, I'm not saying there can't ever be an exception, but you talk about it. You say, okay, we're doing something different because it's Christmas and we're going to break the rules just today. And you make that known. But, we want to make that stability, like you said, it's for them. And it helps us in return because then we end up working as a team. We being the family unit, whatever that family unit looks like, husbands, kids, grandparents, siblings, whatever, when everybody is a cohesive unit that follows with what are the expectations? What are we going for? What are our goals? How does this household work? Where does the money come from? Why do we have a house? As your kids get to an age where you can start having those conversations, it helps them feel stable and understand, okay, this is how the family unit works. This is how living in this world works. And, this goes so far beyond just food, and food is important. And, that's what you've based your whole business around. But I feel like once you get those habits in, if you can start with something like food and nutrition, it's just going to flow naturally into money. Then you can apply those same habit stacking and, removing the friction from the good habits and finding your why and all these wonderful things. You can apply that into, okay, how do we get more done? How do I go after my goals? How do I get my finances in order? How do I keep a clean house? All of it is such applicable data to so many facets of life.
That is such a good example. And, when you said about being a part of a team, I tell Eleanor that every single day. I tell her we're a team. And so, and I always, and a boss, we want a boss that encourages us, that acknowledges us, that I do all of that for her. Every single day I tell her, thank you so much for coming in. And does she do it every day? And yes, every day I thank her. Every day that she sits down for dinner and does all of that on her own. Why? Because she deserves to be acknowledged. She deserves to continue to be encouraged, because I'm grateful for her doing that, because that helped me, because we're a team. And, when we, going back off of that work example, it even made me think of how when we have a job and we have all these responsibilities, we don't necessarily say, oh, I don't have time for that, right? Because we know what our goals are at work, we know what we need to get done, and we find the time to do it. Our meetings are on a calendar. And so why is it that when it comes to our family things, our fitness goals, our weight loss goals, our food, all of these things that we want to do, why aren't those things on our calendar? Why aren't we making time for those things? Why aren't we removing the friction so that that workout happens? Because that workout, even for me, that I do it every single day, it's on my calendar. And every single day, the friction has been my workout clothes are next to my toothbrush. I'm not looking for my workout clothes when I wake up in the morning. I'm not running around trying to figure out what workout video I'm doing, where I'm working out, all of that friction has been removed. Why? Because I have a job to do, right? I have a meeting to get to at 4:00 in the morning. And so that means I can't be late. That means that I have to get to where I need to, which is just down the hall. But I could easily get up and then just think, well, I'm not today or tomorrow, or I couldn't find the workout video.
Or I'd rather scroll.
Yeah. And they're
Yeah.
all planned out a week in advance. So what happens? I put on my workout clothes. I almost tell myself before that little voice wakes up, so I get up. I don't snooze. And I just go. I scrape my tongue and brush my teeth and put on my clothes and go. By the time my workout's done is when that little voice in the head starts to talk to me about how I'm supposed to feel about certain things, and how I don't let that voice, oh, you're too tired today, but you do it every day. Skip today. Or, oh, just do 10 minutes today. Or I don't do any of that. Because it's in my calendar, it's planned out, those 30 minutes are blocked off. And so what happens, after I put my workout clothes, I walk in, I hit one button to turn on the Peloton screen and one button to hit the actual workout that I'm doing, and it's happening. And even if that little voice wakes up in the middle of the workout, I was writing a Substack on this the other day. The heaviest weight at the gym isn't the dumbbell. It's actually the door to get to the gym. So it's that button. It's getting there. Once you're doing the workout, you're gonna do it, because I'm committed. It's 30 minutes. I can do it. It's 10 more minutes, and then afterwards you feel great. So remove all of the friction. Don't treat it like your job, where you have a responsibility to reach your goals. And not only because you want to be accountable to someone, which is yourself, but because you want to model that behavior for your children.
And not only that, but you're going to get paid for it. Maybe not in money.
I love that.
But you're going to get paid
That's right.
for attending that 4:00 meeting, right?
That is so good.
You're going to get paid in feeling good about yourself. Like, that is a huge, how many people go throughout the day feeling like crap about themselves? That's not worthwhile. You get the pay of the satisfaction of knowing, hey, I did something for myself today. You get the pay of decades down the line being able to have your health and your fitness, which is so valuable. I mean, how many people, when they're nearing the end of their life, look back, do they want more money? Do they want more work? Do they want more? No, they want more time with their family, more time with the ones that they love. So your health and your fitness are such good pay. You have to remember that. You know what I mean? It is a job. It's a job where maybe the exchange isn't, financial, but there is an exchange there.
That is so good. And it reminds me of, because people will say, well, it's easy for you to say, you probably wake up and hop out of bed and you can't wait. Not every day. Not every day. Sometimes I drag myself into this room and I come and I don't. So I'm not here to say, easy, every day I wake up and I'm ready to roll. What I'm saying is choose your heart. How bad do you want to feel good? Do you respect yourself enough to set your goals and follow through, and not set a resolution for January 1st, not waiting until Monday, I wasn't following through because it matters to you. And if that's something that's hard for, where you were talking about earlier, find someone that can help you through. And that's why I started my business, because I had people in my life that I was waking up every day at 4 o'clock in the morning, that I was going to their house and cleaning out their pantries, that I was going to the store with to grocery shop because they felt like they were just so out of control. I'm going to the store hungry. can you just come with me? I just need, if you're there, I won't get this other stuff. I know if you come and clean out my pantry that I won't put that bad stuff back in. So I started it because I do understand that sometimes having someone texting you, calling you, meeting you, checking on you, whether it's daily, weekly, monthly, or coming over, whatever it is, right? Like that accountability for some people they just need it. Mm-hmm. And it keeps them on track. Even the clients that I've had that at this point, it's a lifestyle for them. They just want someone that is, I have a client that, I guess she's as crazy as me. She works out with me in the morning now. I add her to my Peloton workouts, and she actually she went from being someone that got a gym membership, walked into the gym, got her membership, and never walked back in for 2 years. And I said to her, hey, tomorrow, wake up with me early. She's like, I don't work out, and I don't wake up early, and I don't have any interest in reading labels like you do. And I just said, just try it. I will text you to make sure that you are up. And I think we're on year 2.
Wow.
And she is now at 4 a.m. working out with me every day.
Wow.
So when people say, I don't know, it's not me, I can't, or I tell them, I promise you that you can.
The truth is it's not you and you can't today, right?
Yep.
Okay, so it's not you and you can't today. Fine. Once upon a time, I used to also wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go running every morning. This is a long time, but long before I had kids. That's what I used to do. And so that was me then. Maybe today me wants to do something different. But if I changed my mind, like everything we're talking about has to do with your mindset. I'm a broken record on my podcast. I'm a birth doula. Most of the challenge of birth is your mindset, your decision to push through, your persistence, all these things, but they're all up here. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing here, where if I decided, hey, you know what? Starting tomorrow, I am that person that's going to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go running. I could probably do it. I'd need to move some things around. I'd need to figure out how to reduce the literal friction of my child usually falling asleep on top of me somewhere around 6 o'clock in the morning. Like, I'd have to figure some stuff out.
That's right.
But if I decided to do it, I probably could, right? Like the same way that I've done everything else in my life. I also wasn't a mom. And then one day I was, and I figured it out. And then I was having a really hard time losing the weight after having my kids. And then one day I just decided that I was going to change some things, and I did. Like, it starts with, we also were talking about this before we hit record, like, all of these things start with a decision, and then giving that decision life over and over and over again. I've had a podcast for almost a year. It's not it's not just because I didn't stumble into having, an episode almost every week for the last year. It takes work, but it is something that I consciously decide, okay, we're going to keep this thing alive. We're going to keep this thing going. And it's become more habitual, more organized. I make mistakes and I learn from them, and I implement systems that help me prevent that mistake from continuing to happen. So everything in life starts up here. It starts with, what do I want? How am I going to get there? And am I willing to put in a little bit of effort to make it go in that direction?
That's right. And because you've been consistent, built habits around it, because you have decided that you are going to do it no matter what, and you have found ways to make time. You have two young children and you have a podcast. So that there's nothing easy about any of that. But you're doing it because it matters to you and you want it bad enough. So when someone says to me, I just don't have time, I say, okay, and we start from there. What can we do? Can you wake up a little bit earlier? I go to bed too late. Can you do it okay, can we just start just on the weekends then? And when you wake up the kids, can you do it with them? Are you a soccer mom? Do you sit on the field while your kid's playing soccer? Okay. Can you do a walk around the field can you bring some of your weights and right? Our kids want to do these things with us. When I do laundry, Eleanor does it with me. When I clean out the pantry, she does it with me. When we go on bike rides, we go on bike rides together. Our kids want to be a part of the things that we're doing. And the earlier that we start these things with them, the easier it is to keep consistency again, right? So Eleanor, when she was a baby, I was holding her and having to do the laundry and put everything in by myself while I was holding her. And then as she's gotten older, right? So when she was able to kind of scoop out the Branch Basics oxy powder thing that I put in there, I would hold it and she would scoop it out and put it. Now she's almost tall enough to where she can, so she's tall enough where she can throw things in. She can't necessarily see in, but she can. So what does she do? Yep. She can grab things and she just loves to throw it in. She has her little Branch Basics oxy powder thing in there. She scoops it and she can reach it. Our kids want to do these things with us.
And we should let them. It's so good for them.
Absolutely. So I promise you that as a single mom and a widow, I get it. That time is hard. It's hard. It is hard. But do we need to find extra time, or do we just need to use the time that we have differently? Mm-hmm. And sometimes we need to audit our time. Sometimes I sit with my client when there is no time and we find time because we find that we're doing things that maybe we don't really need to be doing, or right. And so it's like, oh wait, they will do a log of a few days. I'm like, I see the time. It's right there. It's right there. This thing that you're doing between this and this, do you have to do that day? Or can you do that and habit stack that with this? Because that just gave you 30 minutes, So just being so empowered by getting control of our day. And it gets really exciting because you're like, oh, wait, if I have 30 minutes on that day, I think you could just start with one day. And then it really starts to happen. And your kids get excited about doing these things with you. And so I just think that it's really all about how bad we really want it.
Yeah. I love this. I love your enthusiasm about it. I love your positivity because it doesn't have to be torturous. It doesn't have to be grueling and exhausting. Like, you make it very light and very palatable somehow where it's not overwhelming. I love that.
Thank you.
On that note, I did want to ask you, so you're located in the Tampa area, correct?
That's right.
Okay. So I know you have clients that are local that you do like the physical showing up and cleaning out their pantries with them and stuff like that. Do you do virtual work as well?
I do. And I have clients, my work is I customize all of what I do to my specific clients. So when I say that I am an accountability and nutrition coach, I'm talking about, I have a client in California that is currently on a GLP-1 that does not want to lose her muscle. And so we do weekly check-ins virtually to ensure that she is anchoring her plates, that protein, that she is eating enough, that she is eating enough to have the energy to do her workouts. I have clients that are daily people, and I have some that are out of state. I have some that are here local in Tampa. And those are the people that want to talk to me all day long and that send me pictures of all of their meals that I get. They put their workouts on their calendars and I get that invite and I know when it's supposed to happen. And so I check in on them. How was that workout this morning? How did it go? So those are the people that we are in touch all day long. I have people that, I have a mom that's super busy and she has a chef that comes once a week. So my job with her is I talk to the chef. And so what I have is I've created an intake form for those kinds of clients where I say, okay, tell me what your family likes to eat, hates to eat, is allergic to. Maybe you love casseroles, maybe you hate casseroles, and so based on that intake form, I take that and I create this pretty PDF for the chef that says, hi chef, this is what the family loves to eat, this is what they hate to eat. Here are the recipes that I need you to follow for this week. On Monday, they're gonna eat this for breakfast, lunch, dinner. Here's Tuesday, here's your grocery list. And all the chef does is show up, go grocery shopping, come back, prep their food, and that family has meals that they love all week long. So I do pantry refreshes where I come to homes locally and clean everything out so that we can get clean, whole foods in their pantries, in their fridges, in their freezers. There are clients that I just meal prep for them. They are already people that love to work out, but they just don't know what to eat every week. And so I just plan their meals out for them. And I am actually doing a new service, which I'm really excited about for my local clients, where I am doing walks, where there are just people that want a start. They don't know what they need and maybe they just want to know what working with me would be like. And so they have questions and they want almost like a boost in understanding how they can get from what their goals are to what it would look like to being on a journey of actually getting to their goals. And so we just go for a walk for 60 minutes and they can talk to me about whatever they'd like. We can plan things. They just walk away with a bunch of takeaways that help them. I think it's the excitement, right, of getting them to a place where they walk away thinking, now I feel empowered I know what I need to do to get started on this journey of making these lifestyle changes that I want to make.
That's amazing. And you're starting it on, again, no pun intended, or maybe a little bit, on the right foot, where you're literally moving the body. You're doing the thing right from the get-go. That's amazing. That's right. I love that. All right. Truly, your positivity and your just lightheartedness about this is very infectious, and I understand why your clients love you. So tell us where people can find you, your social media, websites, how they can reach you if they want to work with you or have questions for you.
Sure. And again, my name is Mailoha Kitchens, and I am Mailoha Kitchens Health all over. I am on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I even have a community Facebook group if you wanted to hop in there and ask questions and just talk to other people about things that you're working on. I will, of course, comment back to anything that you add there. I am on Substack, and everywhere is Mailoha Kitchens Health.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. This has been such a pleasant conversation. I think it's very practical. I think people can walk away having some concept of, okay, what can I do to change things today? Like, there's something that I could do today to bring me a little bit closer to my goal, which I think is what every mom wants. Yes, exactly. Thank you so much. It's been really wonderful.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.